Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to week 1 of our Holiday Ornaments series. Today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable Gingerbread Man ornament. He can just be a shelf sitter, or you can add a ribbon and hang him from your tree. So here's the little ornament that we're going to make today. He's a lot of fun to put together and really much simpler than you might think. Now what we're going to start with actually is making his icing trim. And what we're going to use for that is Sculpey liquid bakeable clay in pearl. What you need is just a ceramic tile. I have here a 4-inch ceramic tile. And we're just going to make squiggles. Now this may take some practice. My first full tile full, I probably used 1/4 of the pieces and tossed the rest. So it'll take a little bit of practicing to get the feel for it. So once you get it flowing, you're just going to make zigzags. And I would suggest filling up your tile with them so that you have a whole bunch to choose from. And you can make them further apart or closer together. Do try to keep an even pressure on the bottle. Or you could also do curves. These might be a little big for our particular gingerbread men. So, like I said, just practice. And then once you have your tile full of squiggles, just bake it at the manufacturer's recommended temperature for 15 minutes. And when they're all done, you'll have something like this. And these just peel right up off the tile. And then you can add them to your gingerbread people. So we'll set these aside for the moment. The next step is to mix yourself a perfect gingerbread shade of clay. What I used was a mix of Sculpey Soufflé in Latte and Primo Sculpey in Raw Sienna. 2 parts of the latte to 1 part of the raw sienna gives this kind of nice reddish brown color, but feel free to mix up whatever colors you want. And if you use 1 package of the soufflé and half a package of the raw sienna, you'll be able to make about 3 of these little gingerbread people. So then from your gingerbread mix, what you need to make are 2 1-inch balls, 2 3/4-inch balls, and 2 1/2-inch balls. So these are the body, the head, the legs, and the arms. We'll start with the 3/4-inch balls, the legs. And you want to make sure that you've rolled your balls so that they're nice and smooth. There's no creases or stray marks on them. And one way to get a nice round ball is to roll it clockwise and then counterclockwise. Clockwise right between your palms. And that will get a nice round ball. And then on your work surface, I like to use just this part of my palm. And I'm going to roll these 3/4-inch balls into teardrop shapes. And it's a good idea to work on both at the same time. So once you have the 2 pieces about 1 1/8 inches long, you're just going to take your index finger and roll just the top half of this, just to sort of make the shape of a foot. Roll that part back so it's round, and then I'm going to press that into the tile just to flatten the bottom. There's no harsh lines here. They're all very soft and rounded, like a baked cookie would be. And now I'm going to bring back in my baked icing and decide which one would look good. To stick these to the clay, because they want to spring back, they don't want to stick down very well, I am using Lisa Pavelka's Poly Bonder. You definitely want to use less rather than more of this, because it does yellow, and if you can see it, you've used too much. So a great tool for dealing with this baked pearl icing is just a pair of scissors. So I'm going to trim one end. I'm going to put that on the back. And then just gently, lightly wrap it around. Don't pull tight. And then I'll use my scissors to trim that. Unwrap half of it. Wipe off most of the glue and just put little dabs, concentrating on the end. And then you just hold that for a few seconds and it'll stick. Lisa has one of those, a really cool little stand for her glue. I need to make myself one out of polymer clay. And I'm just holding it. And then repeat to add the trim to the other foot. Now I had you roll 1-inch balls for the head and the body. But there's a couple of problems with using such a big ball. This is 1 inch in diameter. The clay instructions often say 30 minutes per 1/4 inch of thickness, which means that this sculpture would need to be baked for at least 2 hours, which is kind of long. It also is a fair amount of clay. So we're going to make a core out of aluminum foil. And for this, all you need is about a 3-inch square of aluminum foil. Crumple it up nice and tight. I would recommend rolling your 1-inch balls just as a gauge to begin with. And then go ahead and take about, let's see, there's half. So a little over half, about 5/8 of that 1-inch ball. Flatten that out a little bit. And then go ahead and wrap it around your aluminum foil core. And you're going for a fairly even thickness of clay around this ball of foil. Instead of 1 inch of thickness at the thickest place, it's probably 1/2 inch. Probably the feet would be the thickest place now on your gingerbread guy. So again, roll it in your palms and smooth out all those creases. Roll this into just a little bit of a teardrop. Now remember, you can't reshape this too drastically because you have a 1/2 inch foil core in there. But you can reshape it enough. And remember, if you ever are just not happy with it, you can start again. Roll it back up into a ball and start again with your shaping until you are happy with it. When I first did this, I think I did the head a dozen times. So there's a nice little teardrop shape, and I'm just going to press that right on those legs and give it a good press down. There he is, just to show you. Now you can decorate this little guy however you want. But when I was working on it, I kept hearing the gingerbread man from Shrek saying, "Not the gumdrop buttons!" So I had to make gumdrop buttons. So since gumdrops are kind of transparent, I'm going to use some Pardo transparent clay. And here I've cut off enough for plenty of gumdrop buttons. It's just about an 1/8 inch slice. And I'm going to cut that into 3 pieces because I want to make them in different colors. And then to one I'm going to add some green, to another red, into another yellow, and just mix and condition those thoroughly. And when they're all mixed, they'll look something like this. Pinch off maybe slightly larger than 1/8 inch balls. These are really tiny. And then you're going to cut those in half. And don't worry about this being perfect because we can reshape this in a moment. And what you want to do is stick these down to your tile. And then use a needle tool. I love this kind of offset needle tool. And give them a few pokes in the center. That will just help stick them to the tile. And then just poke it all over. And this makes the translucent get kind of a frosted look. And you can actually pick up your tile and you can poke them on the sides. You can even shape it. Make it more round or kind of oval. Actually, gumdrops are sort of oval. It's always my hope to encourage and inspire you with these videos and also give you some fun and creative time. And if you've benefited, I hope that you'll consider becoming a patron. You can support these tutorials with $1 a month or whatever you can afford. There's a link to my Patreon page in the description box that you can check out for more details. So there's our gumdrop buttons. I just pick it up with the needle tool and pop it right on. And then you can kind of give it a few more pokes with the needle tool to make sure it's firmly affixed to his body. So there he is with his buttons. The arms are the 1/2 inch balls. And they're made very much the same way as the feet, in that you roll out a tapered teardrop. I guess that's redundant. Teardrops are tapered. And then the only real difference is from the feet, instead of just rolling the foot on half of it, we just put a little pressure on the end And that sort of makes a rounded hand. And then just leave this part rounded. Do the same with the other, and then apply the icing in the exact same way that we did the legs. So my little arms are made, and I'm just going to pop those on his body. Just putting the point, tapered point up at the neck and having the seam against his body. And I'm going to put one arm, just like the one that I showed you initially, kind of here. It just gives him a little bit more interest and character instead of having his little arms straight at his sides. So again, you're going to take that 1-inch ball and use about 5/8 of it to cover a 1/2-inch ball of foil. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and share and subscribe to see more like it if you haven't already. I upload new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Once you have that foil core covered, just roll your ball smooth and then roll it like this just into a slight oval. You don't want it real pointed or football shaped, just a slight oval. And next we'll add his eyes, which are simply 4mm black beads. Now for the placement of the eyes, in your mind draw a line across the center of the head and then divide that into thirds. One eye is going to go on each 1/3 line. And what I like to do, just to handle them better, is take my needle tool, pop the bead on there, and then I can use that to get started. And like I said, I probably redid my first head a dozen times, so if you're not happy with it, pop out the eyes, roll it again. Now I have a fun little trick for adding the mouth. And that's just to use this 1/2 inch by 3/4 inch oval cutter. And we're just going to place that wherever you want his mouth. And again, it's okay if you got to do it a few times. And there, he's got the cutest little smile. Now on this one, when I pressed it in, her little smile came out crooked, and I just went with that. I thought it was kind of fun and cute. Just to finish off that mouth, I have an 1/8 inch ball tool, and I'm just going to press a little dimple right at each end of that smile. And to finish off the face, I'm just going to roll a little oval of red clay. And I'm thinking like this would be, if you were baking these gingerbread cookies, this would be a sprinkle. So I kind of made it oval and long. There we go, there's a cute little face. Okay, one more detail on the head, and that is he needs his icing trim. I'm just going to anchor it at the ends with the polybonder glue. So this part will be underneath, like right at the neck. This part will be hidden. And then that just wraps around. Trim it with scissors and anchor the other end. And now because I'm putting baked clay to the raw clay here, I'm just going to put a little dab of the polybonder to his neck. And then pop his head on. Give it a good push so that he's firmly on there. And there you go. You've got your little gingerbread man. Very much like this one. Now if you'd like to make him a candy cane, that is so simple. So you just take a core of white clay, you roll a log of white clay, and cut strips of red clay. Now I probably put too many on here. I put 6. I'd recommend just putting 4. This is actually how candy canes, the candy, are made. It's a cane. It's white candy and then the red candy, and then it gets pulled and rolled out. So you just roll this out to whatever thickness you want your cane to be, and then go ahead and twist it. And then now it's kind of ridged. It's not smooth because of the twists. So what I have here is just an acrylic block, and I'm just going to lightly go over it with the acrylic block, and that will make it round again. And then shape your cane. and kind of a little bit round those ends. And then you can bake that flat and then glue it to your gingerbread man once he's done. Just like that. Now there is an issue I must tell you about. In all fairness, I've baked 2 of these. I made this little girl with her dress and collar, and she was made very much the same way. I just added a few more details in the little bowl, which was formed on a marble. I fixed the problem on this guy, but I didn't on this one so that I could show you what happens. You can see right here, the icing, for some reason, cracks. Now, when I first baked this guy and the icing cracked, I thought perhaps I had wrapped it too tightly, too snugly around the unbaked clay, and so the baked clay expanded and cracked it. So when I made her, I didn't wrap it tightly. In fact, I left it pretty loose, and it's still cracked, you can see. The only other way I could think of doing it I really wasn't happy with. Here's just a little sample of my clay, and here's that pearl, and that it would be tricky to do it on these rounded pieces. You could draw this on before baking. So you could do that, and I think that would work. I haven't tried it that way, but I came up with a different solution. I just kind of got attached to the technique of applying it. Now, this one was cracked, but I've repaired it, and I'll show you how I did that on this little girl. Just put a dab of the pearl on your tile, and then I have here just a little shaper tool, a rubber-tipped shaper tool. Now, sometimes the pieces will pop right up. They'll lift right up. There wasn't glue under them. If you're not going to bake this piece again, use super glue. It holds a little bit better than the poly bonder if you're not going to bake it again. If you're going to bake it again, you'll need to use the poly bonder. And then, like this one had popped up. You could see like this one right here. I don't know if you can see that. See how that's popped up? So what I'll do is I'll use a toothpick, apply some super glue, and then use a tool like this just to hold that in place until it's glued. So if you can think of a better way of doing this, let me know what you think, because I was kind of disappointed, but I did find this little fix to be satisfactory. See, I just used the rubber tip tool, smooth it in there to fill the gap. If there's any excess, you can wipe this off and use that to wipe out. So I'm just using this little tool to pick up just the smallest amount of that pearl liquid Sculpey, filling it in, smoothing it. Like I said, if you guys can think of a better way, applying this stuff to the figurine while the figurine is still unbaked, I think would just be really difficult, especially getting like the arms and the legs. So I'm not really sure why it's cracking. I'm sure it's an expansion and contraction issue. And then what you do, since we're not going to put this back in the oven and then have things crack again, is you use one of these. This is a heat tool. It's used for embossing in paper crafts. And you just want to let it get good and hot, and then keep it moving. Keep it probably 3 or 4 inches away from your figurine. Keep a close eye on it. Keep it constantly moving. And you will see the liquid Sculpey will go from shiny and wet to more of a duller finish like the baked clay. And that means it's baked and set. And then your little piece will be, your little cracks will be filled in and repaired. Now, for those of you who are my patrons, you can go to patreon.com, and I will have a video showing you how to make, instead of the gingerbread, this little gingerbread figurine, to make the little girl with her dress, her collar, the bow, the bowl. I also made a little wooden spoon, which is kind of cute. Oh, good aim. Just a little something extra for my patrons. Now, if you're interested in the supplies I use, click on the I for information in the upper right to go to my blog post, or you can find my blog post link in the description box, and I'll have a list of all the supplies and links for you. So what's on your creative mind this week? Are you preparing something for Christmas? And also, do you have ideas to solve my little icing cracking problem? I would love to hear it. Share your thoughts in the comments because we can all learn so much from each other. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Take a peek at my Patreon page for how you can get great rewards and help support these tutorials. Happy creating. Bye-bye.